Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jessica Flynn and I am the owner and maker of Flynn Sisters Boutique. And today we're going to be doing a fun little tutorial on a great Father's Day gift idea I hope you will love. We're going to be using some inks. We're going to be using the new 20-ounce lager cup from Craft Haven. So I'm so excited to show you guys this. We're going to have the links for all the materials and stuff that we use in this tutorial down in the description box. And of course, if you are loving our channel, if you're loving our tutorials, make sure you hit subscribe, make sure you hit that bell button. We do upload new videos every Wednesday and Saturday. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we're starting with a fully prepped and primed cup. I went ahead and sanded my cup, cleaned it with acetone, and then spray painted it twice with this white matte spray paint. And now I'm just masking off the top inch of the cup. Reason I'm doing this is because I don't want to get the white part that will be our foam of the beer messy while I'm doing my inks. So next we're gonna take we're gonna get our alcohol inks. We're using Tim Holtz Honeycomb and I believe it's called Butterscotch. And I'm using this foam bath sponge to apply it. But first, I'm gonna use a Mr. Clean Magic Eraser and apply the honeycomb all over the cup as my base layer of the alcohol ink. This step is totally optional. You don't have to do it this way. I just feel more comfortable putting down this base layer of color. And I just kind of wipe it on all over the cup until the whole thing's coated. All right, next we're gonna go in with our foam sponge and drop some of the alcohol ink on there. You don't wanna saturate the sponge, just spray a little bit on there, and then you're just gonna dab that alcohol ink on all over the cup. And if you've ever done like one of the wood grain cups before, it's really similar to that process. You're just kind of dabbing it on all over, and you wanna kind of blend any of the lines you might have created during that base layer. And you don't want to press too hard, you don't want too much ink on there, and you also want to steer clear of that white section at the top. You do not want to bring your inks all the way up to the tape, just right up next to it, so you have that natural kind of foamy look like you would on like the head of a beer. And you just kind of keep going around and dabbing on the inks until you get kind of a natural look that you like. I think I worked on this one for about 15 minutes until I got somewhere that I liked. And you can really just keep layering and layering and layering this look. For this type of design, I did not use any alcohol in addition to the inks. I just only used the inks. All right, so once I got a look that I liked, I just removed my tape up here at the top, And then you're gonna want to spray seal this with a clear gloss acrylic sealer. I just used the same Rust-Oleum 2X clear gloss spray that I always use. And you're gonna wanna let that dry, and once it's dry, we can go into our first coat of epoxy. All right, so next we're gonna apply our epoxy. We're just using 15 milliliters of epoxy here. If you're doing a larger cup, you might need a little bit more, but this should just be a pretty thin coat. You don't need a whole lot. We use Alumilite epoxy. And once we got our cup fully coated, we're just gonna go over that real quickly with our propane torch. And then we'll let this dry for about 8 to 10 hours before we move on to the next step. All right, so next we're gonna move on into our sanding. I'm using a 220 grit sanding block, and I'm just sanding my top rim at a 45-degree angle and removing a very thin line of the paint and epoxy. You wanna make sure that you're removing evenly all the way around the cup, and by exposing some of the stainless steel up there at the top rim, you'll allow that final coat of epoxy to adhere to the outside of the cup rather than the seal being created on the top rim of the cup where it's a little more vulnerable. This is how I finish all my cups. You guys have asked a lot to see my sanding process, and this is pretty much how I do it every single time. So you'll see a really thin line of stainless steel up there. All right, and then once I've got that top rim sanded nicely, I'll go around to the remainder of the cup and smooth out any kind of bumps. Because we only have one thin layer of epoxy over the paint and inks, you really want to be careful and use a fine grit sanding block. All right, now that we've got everything smoothed out, I'm going to take it in, wash up the cup with some dish soap and water, dry it off, and then come out and spray a clear gloss sealer over the cup. I'm only doing this because I'm using clear water slide, and you cannot place clear water slide over sanded areas of your cup, otherwise it's going to come out looking cloudy. I've already sealed my water slide 3 times with Rust-Oleum Gloss 2X spray, and we're just gonna apply the water slide to the cup. You'll want to make sure that your cup is cool to the touch. You do not want it to be warm. My water that I had the water slide in is room temp. I'm going to use the backing of my water slide to get the surface wet and just slide it off the paper and onto the cup. I'm going to smooth it out a little bit with my fingers, and then I'm going to grab my ruler and make sure that I have everything lined up, and then I'm going to start wiping out the excess moisture with a paper towel. You're going to notice that I measure several times during this process because the water slide gets moved around as you're trying to seal it to the cup, and that's okay. But I measure time and time again just to make sure that it's not crooked. And then once you've got all the bubbles out, you've got this all dried off, you'll want to let it sit for at least an hour before moving on into your final coats of epoxy. All right, so moving into the last steps, we're just applying our final coats of epoxy. This one took me 2 coats back to back and I was done. So all in all, I was able to get this completely finished in a matter of 2 days, and I absolutely love it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you Wednesday. If you love this video, you could check out our last video here. Also be sure to find us on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and of course subscribe for all our new videos that come out every Wednesday and Saturday. Thanks so much for watching. See you soon.